going to talk to you today about my project, which is paving the road for community engagement in a garden-based learning program. And I centered this in at Martin Luther King Early Childhood Center, which is located in South Phoenix. I had met the principal, Nicole Shamblin, when I was interning at the farm in 2017. And I was really impressed with her desire. She was, I think she was in her third year, actually being the principal of school, and she was trying to bring this garden-based program with very limited resources in a school that's probably overtaxed with outside issues as well as teaching. We have kids with emotional issues and family issues. So I wanted to support that and do that for there. And in this picture here particularly, this is our first tree. We planted it for the third grade class of 2018. And we're gonna plan on doing it probably the start of next school semester. So every year we're gonna be planting a tree inside the school thing. This is actually located on the north side of the garden project. So as you can see, it's not really cultivated in its use. So it's one of the biggest challenges in there is the resources and the funding in which to build out a garden to make it usable for garden space. So based on our scope negotiations with Nicole, we had 3 agenda items that we would like to do for my project and along with her vision. One of those was to get the students actually gardening and using that as a school lesson. Open up the space for parents and communities to be involved and give volunteer hours or however they can function and make this developed. And third, provide something tangible to kind of symbolize our efforts of building this garden. And for that, we settled upon a monarch butterfly way station garden that was going to be registered and was going to be like the centerpiece of us building out this greater garden project. So my approach in that was a 3-fold approach that's kind of mimicked the 3 pillars of sustainability. So I have the school, actual school space, the parent-teacher organization, community organizations, and the business structures of who can help provide funding. For a more long-term vision, for a collaboration, if you envision this out, this space is going to be improving the environmental space, the children's reactions within the environment. The social structure and network would be built out using a community hub, and there'd be potential for an economic resource if people were using this garden in the crawl space. We hopefully would have access produce and use efforts. So we had a small step and a larger project. And then particularly for this year's project, to get the kids garden, we started in the fall. We had them using container gardens, so there they are lined up to get their seeds and soil. And then we built out the square-foot garden box for kids to take home and actually mimic the weekly lessons at home with their family and parents. And then our vision. So the vision here on this far right picture, that's actually an elementary school in Tucson, Manzita Elementary, and they have really built out their school program through collaboration with University of Arizona. So that was really a focal point of like, we have the space and the desire to do this, and how else can we build out to create this space for these students? And in that was a vision building. So you wanted to bring in community members and parents to kind of access that. And the way to do that is to open up the process. So I used community engagement and backcasting to kind of ask them what their strengths, where their interests are, and how that would align with this program, more so than we didn't want to come at this as saying, oh, this is our idea. We wanted to open it up saying, what kind of space would you like? So in this, we wanted to, like I said, build capacity in the actual classroom, get the kids engineered and excited and talking about gardening and going home, talk to the parents about it. So I entered PTSO meetings. We did a couple of community engagement plans, party events kind of, and talked about what we wanted to do and what they were interested in do. And then we wanted to expand the actual garden footprint. So as we're using these container gardens and the square foot gardens, I actually wanted to use bigger garden space. So it becomes more and more central part, like similar to that vision picture in the Tucson school. And then last would be actually have a functioning like community garden space in which people are coming, they're having picnics there, they're using that space, and it's a focal point for this community to use. So based upon that, we had some successes in here. So in the garden infrastructure, I actually completed the milkweed garden for the butterfly. exhibit. It is registered with the Monarch Way Station program. So the site is not updated. I haven't been given a site update, but eventually when someone accesses that particular website, they will see MLK Elementary School on it. We got the irrigation system installed for each home or garden. I was able to get that donated through H&M Landscaping, both time and materials. So that was pretty good thing over there. And then every student for this past school year has a square foot garden. The kids that were not able to take it home at the end of December, we actually did delivery and home visits to deliver those to the children. And then we have our people infrastructure. So within South Phoenix, as we were building out my network, there was a lot of communities that are engaged with similar mission and vision statements, but they just weren't active at Martin Luther King Elementary. Specifically, First Things First was the original grant funder that was building out the outdoor classroom space. They had lost funding for that program, which is why the garden space was not in use. And so re-engaging with them and getting that grant back on track is one of my agenda items moving into the following year. Unlimited Potential has community organizers that we're very interested in partnering along with our home visits to align with their early education and early childhood development issues. In addition, Lowe's donated the garden boxes, both time and materials for that, and they're interested in continuing this program moving forward. So we were able to build the garden infrastructure, but the secondary function of building this people infrastructure, which was important in maintaining this outside of mine and the principal's actions. And then we had 2 organic pieces that came out of it. Like I said, this square foot garden box was actually decided to do that in November of last year, and it became a bigger part of the project. You know, obviously there's a lot of time and energy in making sure every kid has one and those delivered, but that was a real fundamental portion. You can see in the lower right, there's a picture of us delivering it to the home, so that was nice. And then through my community talks, there was a lot of interest in local and culturally relevant food and crops. And I was part of the foraging community. I engaged with these two people here, John Slattery and Peggy Sorensen, and they both agreed to adopt a garden in the 16-foot garden bed to dedicate it to local and regional produce, fruits and that. So then that would kind of mimic that space in there, what other people could do with their garden boxes if they want to adopt it. And then unfortunately, COVID-19 happened. So the last day of school was in March. We had done a butterfly release party that day, and the kids went to spring break. And I guess at that point, we were still anticipating just a 2-week shutdown. So I had delivered some online content, like basically just like little mini gardening lessons to provide to that. And we thought that was going to carry it through. However, as we all know, schools are closed for the year, and principals and teachers have other pressing needs. So we decided to hold back on asking for follow-up on that online content. I have volunteered throughout the month with delivering food. You can see there we actually go around and deliver twice a week and give the kids 3 meals. So that became kind of an interesting aspect of just engaging with the community, seeing what their needs are. They are still really interested, so I have a lot of hope that once we are back to school, that we can pick up the energy we've driven since the onset of this project. Which brings me to my next steps. So it was a little disheartening not being able to deliver through on all of my planned outcomes, but I do have plans on moving forward. So I have engaged with the principal, and we are going to continue basically our project outcomes for the project at the start of the school year versus at the end. So still have the ribbon cutting ceremony for the Monarch Butterfly Garden. We're still going to construct the outdoor classroom just over the summer. And my other partner, the farm at South Mountain, who's been really intrinsic in making all of this come to fruition, they have a philosophy of like you gather all these resources together and then we can grow. So with that in mind, we are going to establish a nonprofit called Gather and Grow. I do think that's going to serve a lot in kind of supporting people that want to do initiatives but don't necessarily have the time or resources to go out and engage with other organizations or even the community at large to get volunteer hours or money, those kinds of things. So I think that a nonprofit could really function highly in that area. And then Continue to work with the network. I'm going to the First Things First, their board meetings, to try and get more funding and actually maybe get a part-time gardening teacher at MLK to take the burden off of this. So that's pretty exciting. I'm excited about that. And again, continue to expand the footprint of the garden. And then by demonstrating this, we can encourage more schools within the Roosevelt School District to participate in these kinds of things. And then just to do that, I'm going to share with you guys a little video that we did of the Monarch Butterfly Project. I think I have enough time, so let me.
I'm a caterpillar. I'm caterpillar. I'm caterpillar. But
All right, I want to thank you everyone for your time today, and I'm open up for questions.